So in this video, I'm going to talk about Black Ops 4's beta again because my last video was more or less just a first impressions video on what I thought of the game after just a few hours of gameplay. I think now I might have a more complete idea on at least the first weekend of the beta, and not a whole lot has changed for me. I do have a little bit better of a vision for the game at least. Treyarch has also shown that they are very willing to change things in the game based on community feedback, so that's also a really good thing. That is one thing I've always really enjoyed about Treyarch, is the fact that the community can bring up issues with them and they change it based on what we ask for, and unfortunately that's just not something that we very often see, at least on the scale that Treyarch does it with the other two developers. Anyways, ever since that last video, I've played probably 10 times more than I actually played when I made that video. I almost hit max rank before the beta ended. It actually just ended a few minutes ago, realistically, and I've played all the game modes that were available in the first week. I played it after they had made some changes based on the feedback from the first couple days of the beta, and I have to say, I don't think this is gonna be the worst Call of Duty game of all time. Like I said in my last video, it might be, and I don't absolutely hate this game anymore. I mean, I kinda did, honestly, when I first played it. When I first played this game, I was super disappointed in it just because it didn't feel like any Call of Duty I had ever played before. It felt like they were trying to copy everything else, and to an extent I still stand by that. This is the most outlandish Call of Duty title I think I have ever played, and I've been playing for a very, very long time now, and it certainly doesn't feel like anything we've ever played before in the franchise. Honestly, if you took the name Call of Duty Black Ops 4 away from it and you just gave it some sort of different name, I would entirely believe that this is a different franchise, but the game isn't completely awful. I mean, it's still not great. It's honestly still my least favorite Black Ops of all time at the moment. Of course, it's still the beta. I haven't played the final game, so I can't label it that permanently yet, but as of right now, this is the worst Black Ops I think I've ever played, but it's not the worst Call of Duty I've ever played, and it's not so terrible that I can't play it at all. I've gotten to a point where I've experimented with a lot of the weapons. I've experimented with specialists on different game modes, different maps. I've learned basically the entire meta around the game. I've played it with friends. I've figured out the issues that I do have with the game fully. I know I listed a lot of them in the last video, but there are definitely more that I have found over my time playing after that. And thankfully, a large portion of all the issues that I have with this game are on the workbench, I guess I should say, from Treyarch. So anyways, Time to Kill, I didn't see them address this very much, but I think this needs to be expanded upon from my last video. The Time to Kill, I still don't enjoy it being so high, but this whole body armor thing has to go. There's no reason that it should be in this game. The body armor is yet another thing that just caters to terrible players. It gives them an extra shot of health, which is ridiculous already considering the time to kill is like 6 to 7 bullets sometimes. Of course, depending on attachments, headshots, all kinds of different factors. And honestly, it's just a crutch for players who can't actually win very many gunfights, so something has to be done about it. This is just... it's horrible, honestly. This has to go, or it needs to be that all weapons have the option to have armor-piercing rounds, which at the moment not all weapons have that attachment. But I mean, we already got over Juggernaut and stopping power and everything back in COD 4 and in MWR and stuff like that. We don't really need to revisit these kinds of perks and crutches for players to put under themselves, so I think that needs to be fixed. I don't think they're going to be able to change the time to kill at this point. The entire game pretty much is now balanced around that. I would honestly like to see them at least lower it down to 125 health instead of having it at 150. I think that would make it much better. Honestly, if the time to kill went from 6 to 7 bullets to 5 to 6 bullets, I think that's probably enough of a change for me. This is honestly the biggest issue I've seen from the community so far, is people aren't really enjoying the time to kill for the most part. At least the people I've seen and talked to aren't. The spawns, especially in Domination, which are being fixed, were absolutely atrocious during this weekend. I mean, it was to a point, honestly, where, you know, we would capture A or C, depending on which side we spawned on, and we'd be pushing to B, and by the time we got there, there would be enemies already spawning up behind us for some reason. They would be capturing our spawn flag and shooting us in the back off B, which obviously, if you've played a Call of Duty game before this, you know that this should never be an issue. Thankfully, Treyarch did list this as something they were going to try to get fixed before weekend 2 of the beta, so hopefully this plays better during weekend 2. The weapons in this game, they're on an odd stance for me, honestly. I mean, for this first weekend, especially during the beginning of it, before the nerfs and things like that, all the changes that came to SMGs during the first weekend of this beta, weapons like the MX9 were completely ruining the entire game. I mean, it was just so overpowered. It was ridiculous. This gun was just destroying everyone. And now I've played through a little bit more, and I have found my favorite weapon, and it's not a submachine gun like most people would say theirs is. It's not the MX9. It's actually, I think it's called the ABR-223. It's a burst fire rifle. It is definitely my favorite gun as of right now. This thing just shreds people. It's even good up at close ranges, which is weird because I wouldn't expect, especially a burst rifle, to be really good up close, but I'm definitely winning gunfights close. And at long range, I'm destroying people off head glitches with this gun. It's just my favorite gun so far. SMG-wise, it is definitely the MX9. That gun is really good even after the nerf. It even plays well at range, which is really nice. And then the maps, those were a big issue for me because these maps do not feel like Treyarch maps at all. Honestly, they seem like they're really inspired from Infinite Warfare, which is a weird thing to say, but some of the color schemes of these maps, the corridor-driven layouts, things like that, lead me to believe that even though this is a boots-on-the-ground game, maybe these maps were designed for exo boosting and wall running. I mean, looking around these maps, there are a lot of elements of them that would lead us to believe that these might have been designed for us to wall run along, and that this feature was obviously cut during development because majority of Call of Duty fans do not enjoy wall running and exo boosting. So anyways, the maps that come out during the game that aren't in the beta and in the Black Ops Pass, unfortunately I have to say that, I hope that they're better than these beta maps because right now I don't really like what we're seeing. I think that these maps are, hopefully at least, the worst maps in the game because right off the rip here I don't see any classic maps. Like even in Black Ops 3's beta we saw Combine, and I think that that is a series defining map. It's definitely, I would say, the best map from Black Ops 3, but even then, if we don't have any classic maps in Black Ops 4 that are new, we are getting a lot of the remakes of older Call of Duty maps from Black Ops that we all enjoy, like Nuketown, Raid, Firing Range, and more, so that's gonna hopefully be a good sign for maps. The bunny hopping or the jumping in this game, thankfully, is on the workbench, like I said, for Treyarch. This is ridiculous. People can jump like 6 feet in the air. People started to take advantage of that during gunfights. They were jumping real high up in the air, and it was hard, obviously, to aim at somebody who's jumping over your head, and they could just melt you from any weird position that they shouldn't have gotten into because the jumping is ridiculous. Thankfully, Treyarch is working on fixing this as well. I definitely have a little bit of a different outlook on the specialists right now. I think that right now, my favorite specialist is either Firebreak or Recon. Firebreak's Purifier is super fun to use. I've already hit so many clips actually with this thing. I think that the reactor core is a little bit weaker than I initially expected or thought it to be. Of course, it can hit you through the wall, but even then it takes like 10 seconds to kill you, and by the time you actually do kill somebody through that wall, you're already so exposed and vulnerable, and you're actually doing damage to yourself at that point, and you can actually kill yourself using this thing, so. But I do have some strong opinions about the barbed wire. Thankfully, Tac Mask kind of negates this issue, but the barbed wire is ridiculous in this game. It takes like an entire clip to destroy, and if you go through it without Tac Mask, it's pretty hard to get through without dying, so if you can even get through it without dying, I haven't been able to do so yet. The canine, the little dog that's part of a specialist, is ridiculously overpowered as well. It takes like an entire clip to kill it as well. It pretty much kills you in 1 to 2 bites. It's super fast. It's hard to shoot. They said that they were going to nerf this as well, which is great. The Guardian slash... I don't even know what to call it. The Guardian head glitch thing, where you lay down this head glitch you can sit inside of, and it kind of microwaves people who come in front of it, also got nerfed. They did the radius. Well, they updated the radius. They didn't do the radius. They updated the radius of it to make sure it can't literally just melt you from pretty much anywhere. Thankfully, that happened because this was getting on my nerves at the beginning of this thing was ridiculous at the beginning of the beta, honestly. Recon is pretty cool. I do like the little sensor dart or whatever you call it. You can shoot it on like walls and floors, and it kind of scans a little circle around you and kind of tells you where enemies are. Super helpful for the objective game modes, and then the actual ultimate move where you can pretty much ping all the enemies like 4 times through the entire map. I do like that a lot too because it can tell you where they're spawning, where they're pushing from on objectives, things like that. And thankfully it works for the whole team too, so that's also really cool. Overall, honestly, this game is kind of growing on me. I'm not gonna lie, I've gotten way more used to it. I've been playing it more, I understand it a little bit better, and it's definitely growing on me. I think the game will be really good for competitive, but honestly, it still has a long way to go. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done to the game. I'm not gonna get my hopes up for it. I mean, honestly, they could ruin this game in a heartbeat. They they've already honestly launched very lackluster for me. People seem to forget that even though, yes, it is a beta, this is like 80% of the finished product right here, so hopefully they do go ahead and fix the game based around the community's impact. Hopefully they do go ahead and fix the game around what the community is saying about it. They're doing a good job at kind of leading us to believe that so far. They've made a lot of changes even during the first weekend, and there's a lot more planned obviously for the second weekend. I am rooting for this game. I want it to be a good game. I want it to be a very good Call of Duty experience. I'm still really excited for Blackout and Zombies, even if multiplayer is not my thing in this game. Overall, right now, I'm still really mixed on it, but it's definitely not as terrible as I thought when I first played it, so hopefully it's not complete garbage, even though it plays like Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege in a lot of ways. Hopefully it's not terrible. Right now, it's definitely starting to make an impact, and I think that this game might end up being really good if they keep following what we say, they keep taking our input into consideration and changing the game based around that, and hopefully we do see a really good Call of Duty game. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. This is my last beta video until next weekend. After it ends, then I'll do a full beta review. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're brand new. We are less than 5,000 subscribers away from 100,000 subscribers, guys. That is insane. I made a community post detailing what I had planned for 100K. Go check that out. Follow me on Twitter at @SubTheOptimus for memes, thoughts, and updates. Join the Discord down below to talk to me and other fans. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, waiting on weekend 2, and signing out.